welcome to Strategic Management class. Today's class we are going to discuss about benchmarking. What is benchmarking? Benchmarking is a process where you measure your company's success against other similar companies to discover if there is a gap in performance that can be closed by improving our performance. So, even big companies or multinational companies, always they have their benchmark. They try to compare their standard along with the companies which are doing very well and which are very equal in their status and standards. So this way it helps the company to improve in the areas where they are lacking, or at least it will let them know whether they are lacking in the areas where they are to be very strong. Even it can be the company which is benchmark, even it can be a competitor's company, or either a company in the same country, or in the same region, or in the other region or other country. So every organization, okay, whether small, big or medium, they have this kind of other company which they use to benchmark. Studying other companies can highlight what it takes to enhance your company's efficiency and become a bigger player in our industry. So what happens by benchmarking, okay, and if you try to benchmark a company which is bigger than you, it will help our business to, I mean, take to their standard, thereby increasing the performance and standards and efficiency of the company. So it help us to become the industry leader. Benefit of benchmarking. First one is a continuous improvement. To monitor performance as well as continuous improvement is the essential attribute of benchmarking. So the two important attributes is to check how good the company is doing, performing. Okay, that's one thing. Then second is the continuous improvement in terms of the quality of the product, the efficiency of the service, the effectiveness of the process, and all those things. So a company want to rise its standard means it has to do all those things. It has to improve the product, enhance its services, and then it has to better its processes. This is because the aim of benchmarking is to improve a certain elements of the business. This improvement should not merely be something that improve once and is forgotten, but something that improves our time over time and it is continuous. So as we discussed earlier, either it's a continuous improvement of quality of the product or processes. So when we have benchmarking, so what happens? It is not like we just do once and then we forget about it. Like how we do the, what do you say? Like we do the training. So this benchmarking, okay, and improving the quality is a continuous process. That's an ongoing process. Like we do every once in a while. So what happens? We keep on, enhancing, and we keep on improving our quality. So it is a continuous process. Second one, planning and goal setting. Once benchmarking has been carried out, goals and performance metrics are set in order to improve the performance. So benchmarking help us to know where we are so that we can set a goal where we want to reach. So like how a training, what is it, evaluation help a department to do the planning, in the same way benchmarking our organizations against some other or better organization help us to know where we stand and where we want to reach. So this will give rise to a planning. So these goals are new, more competitive targets for the company, but they must be achievable. So when we do goal, okay, as the basic rule is that the goal should not be very easy to achieve, so people don't have interest, or it should not be very very tough to achieve. It demotivates people. So what happens? The goal has to be somewhat tough so that it is reachable by the it is achievable by our staff members. If goals are unrealistic to achieve, teams become demotivated and goals are destined to remain unfulfilled. So, as I mentioned, it should not be too easy or it should not be too tough. It should be somewhat easy and realistic so that our people are, are focused and motivated to achieve the goal. Next one is a competitive analysis. By identifying areas where we wish to improve in our business and benchmarking our existing performance against the competitors, our business can strive to enhance our execution tenfold. So what happens? So benchmark will help us to, I mean, analyze our standard, our business standards, our organizational standard with that of the competitors, so where we know we can understand really where we stand and what are the things we have to improve in order to achieve that. So using benchmarking this way has allowed business to gain strategic advantage over competitors and grow industry averages. So what happens, using this by improving our standard, it helps us to it helps us to create a competitive advantage, and this help us to grow over our competitors. Monitor performance. Benchmarking involves looking at current trends in data and projecting future trends depending on what we aim to achieve. Okay, so what happened? It helps us to know what is the current trend going on and what are the future, anticipated trends, so that we can plan to achieve that. In order to know what we have been successful, benchmarking needs to be a continuous process. Monitoring performance is an inherent characteristics of it. So what happens, one of the important aspect of benchmarking is to monitor the performance of the company. Encourage ownership. When companies look at the processes and metrics, they need to ask hard questions to get all the answers they need. This includes talking to everyone in the business and understanding their roles. Very important. If people don't know, the employees in the organization doesn't know what is the duties, responsibilities, and roles, what happens? They may not be very effective. Like they will be wasting their time, okay, without really knowing their responsibilities, and sometimes they try to, what you say, pass on the responsibility to the subordinates. So what happens, by having a benchmarking systems or standards, so what happens, this help us to analyze what is the employees roles and responsibilities by asking several questions and all those things. By asking these questions and gaining a better understanding of everyone's roles, ownership for the process and performance encourage. So if we know the accurately exactly what is our roles and responsibilities, this help us to take the ownership. Once the ownership is taken, the employees strive hard to achieve this. This means that the employee will take pride in their job and work they do. This pride leads to better performance and higher quality end result. So what happens, once the employees know the responsibilities and duties, they take the ownership. Once they take the ownership, they know what they are doing, okay, and they try to do it in a better way. So in that course of action, what happens, they take pride in their job. Once someone do a particular job or work with pride and with the enthusiasm, what happens, the quality improves. When the quality and the performance improves, what happens, the resultant output will be of higher quality and standards. So everything is like interrelated, like taking responsibility and ownership and taking pride and doing with love and pride increases the performance and thereby the quality of the output. So everything is like interrelated. Understanding your company's advantages. Benchmarking identifies where our company is right now compared to where we want to go. If we are looking at improving any process in our business, benchmarking is a way of looking at how we can feel and excel and become more successful through outlining the steps needed to achieve our goal. So, as discussed in the earlier point, it will help us to understand where our company is there when compared to the standard of the industry, and it gives us a new goal and objectives to achieve. So this way it help us to increase and enhance our standards, and thereby it will create a competitive advantage. Once we have develop a competitive advantage, it help us to excel over our competitors. Next one is the process of benchmarking. Okay, so the first step in benchmarking is a planning. The first stage of benchmark is the most important in the process. Planning includes highlighting what you want to improve, what our business want to improve, who you will benchmark yourself against, and how you envisage the success. So what happens? The first step is planning, which is very, very important. Planning will highlight what area we want to improve, whether we want to improve in the terms of the features of the product or quality of the product or services, or we want to improve the processes, we want to improve after sales service, or in the production, or we want to do in the packaging. Okay, so or in a few of these areas or in all of these areas, so it will give us clearly where which area we want to improve. That's one thing. So what happens, and who we are going to benchmark, who means which company or organization which we are going to benchmark. Like for example, in my previous place in the university in Malaysia, I mean they have their own competitor who they benchmark. Even I mean the Malaysian qualification agency, that's a Malaysian qualification agency, that's education one. They benchmark the Malaysian education against Australian and Europe. Like a organization will have the other organization, a country government also can benchmark like other country government, particular department or government. So this can help, I mean, help them to enhance the standard. And usually, as I told you earlier, usually this benchmarking is done by the company which are almost same standard or better standard, so that we can improve our quality and our standards. Once this step has been completed, we will be able to move on to the next step, as the result of planning will focus on the information we need to collect and what success will look like. So what happens once we planned, okay, who we are going to benchmark, what are the areas we want to improve in our organization. So what happens, this will help us to do the planning and be help us to move on to the further one. Second, collection of information. After planning, benchmarking is about collecting information on our processes and how competitors do them. If we are looking to improve our customer service satisfaction rating, you should understand the process involved in the department, how calls and communications are dealt with, and also how it differs from our competition. Maybe we can talk to someone in another call center or call the center directly to gain first-hand knowledge of their processes. At this point, it is important to gather as much information as possible. Once we identify the areas we want to improve, and then who we are going to benchmark against, then the planning starts. That's the first one. The second step is that collecting the information relevant to the area where we want to improve. Say for instant, if we want to improve in the customer service, then we need to collect the information pertaining to the customer service, how the processes go on. So what happens, once we collect, we can compare it with the company or organization which we are what do you say benchmarking. So we can check with them how they are doing and see where are the loopholes or where are the areas we can improve in terms of customer service. Third, analysis of data. Once you feel you have all the information you can gather, you can start to plot it and begin it, understand the shortcomings you may have. It is important to remember at this point in the process that no business is perfect, and you must have an open mind to be able to analyze information objectively. So once the findings start to be uncovered, you can draft a report and start discussing the next steps to achieve better performance in this area. So once we collect the information, then we compare, then we try to identify the areas where we can improve. Then we, I mean, then we, instead of taking it like criticizing, we have to take that as a what is that? For the betterment aspect. So this way, it helps us to improve in the area where we can improve, and identify the steps or what's need to be done in order to improve in that particular area. So fourth one is the action. Presenting findings to the department is never an easy thing, especially when you are proposing changes. So gathering and analyzing information is only worthwhile when you implement changes and better the company process. So what happens once you collect this information, you analyze, you identify the areas need to be improved, then it is the action or implementation. So who will do the implementation? The particular department. So we have to communicate this information to the particular department, and it's not easy task because people don't like to change. Okay, so what happens, they have to communicate in such a way that so they take it in a right sense, and they see the areas where they can improve. So gaining buy-in from a department can involve concessions. So make sure that MVP you must present is accepted, and will likely equate to the success highlighted in the planning stage. So once when we communicate that, we ensure that the implementation is done by them. So we have to put in such a way that they take it in a positive or affirmative manner. So after action, the last one is a monitoring. No plan is ever complete without monitoring results to determine how successful the plan has been. Okay, so what happens once the planning is implemented? So what happens? So we have to monitor, because by monitoring, we know where they are moving. Are they moving in the way we planned? Or there is a deviation? If there is a deviation, then we have to ensure that they are moving in the right direction. The implementation phase will have highlighted metrics and goals for success within a time frame. So monitoring this is the only way of knowing the efficacy of the changes. So monitoring can be over a short or long time period of time depending on the desired outcome. So what happens in order to successfully implementing, monitoring has been done right way. So we have to decide for how long the monitoring is going to be done, whether it's for a short period, say 1 or 2 months, or it's for a long period, or 6 months or 1 year. Okay, so until and till we where we reach what we want to achieve, that's a desired result. So benchmarking examples, process benchmarking. This type of benchmarking helps you to better understand how you processes compared to the other in your industry. By looking at other companies in the industry, you can improve your processes to make them more efficient and cost effective. So the first example is a process. The process means how we are carrying out our our job. Okay, that's a processes. We can also say standard operating procedures or processes. So strategic benchmarking, similar to process benchmarking, is all about improving parts of your company through looking at others in the industry. So strategic benchmarking relates to the strategy and how to create a strategy that will allow you to be more competitive in your area. So strategic benchmarking is like it's of whole of the organization, wherever we want to improve related to the strategy. Okay, in other organizations, so if it's more efficient some strategy in other organization, we that one we try to implement in our organization. So that is about the strategic benchmarking. Then performance benchmarking. Performance benchmarking is the hardest to process to improve, as it involves learning about competitor performance metrics and procedures. and also making changes to processes within your business on the lower levels. So introducing new processes is a challenging action in any business as it requires buy-in from many different levels in the company. So what happens? Performance means how, like say, we can it can be in the terms of a production. Okay, so how the production means that we are, I mean, comparing our standard with of the competitors who we are benchmarking. So try to see the areas, especially at the lower level. So it's not from the top level; it starts from the lower level. It's like quite difficult, but but it has to be done in order to enhance the production. So performance benchmarking can uncover findings that may not be possible to implement in the business without creating a long-term change plan. So whatever certain areas it's difficult to change in a short duration of time, because this has been happening, that particular procedure or process is happening for a long time, so it will take some time. So it has been done like gradually, by step. This can also be the most effective and successful changes for a company. So that's about the performance benchmarking. So for today, it's done benchmarking. So in our next class, we will discuss about total quality management or TQM. Thank you.